she was outstanding. She's encouraging. She's inspirational.
I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. I'm on the right side.
The remnant is rising. The people are uniting, and good things are coming.
That woman, that beautiful woman, is calling out Justin Trudeau's actions from across the world.
I just keep saying you guys are awesome. The Canadians really are awesome, and the Canadian truckers in particular. They are the real heroes. So I'm really blessed to be here, and it humbles me.
Angelica Toy reporting for Rebel News. Do you remember when a German member of European Union Parliament stood up in front of the entire European Union and called out Justin Trudeau? Well, if you haven't seen that clip, check it out.
It would have been more appropriate for Mr. Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, to address this House according to Article 144, an article which was specifically designed to debate violations of human rights, democracy, and the rule of law, which is clearly the case with Mr. Trudeau. Then again, a Prime Minister who openly admires the Chinese basic dictatorship, who tramples on fundamental rights by persecuting and criminalizing his own citizens as terrorists just because they dared to stand up to his perverted concept of democracy, should not be allowed to speak in this House at all. Mr. Trudeau, you are a disgrace for any democracy. Please spare us your presence. Thank you.
That was Christine Anderson. She has sparked a wave of influence across the nation for her bravery to standing up to Justin Trudeau. And she is here in Calgary to continue spreading that influence and her words to Canadians to stand up for freedom and expose the truth and the other side of the story. And we have decided to bring you along today.
So the people know what to do. You all know what to do. Now we only have this other problem left. Why won't the elected representatives? Why will they not get it? Why won't they see? And why, they apparently have forgotten what their job really is. They were elected by the people, for the people. You are their boss. You are paying their salary. So why don't they do what you want them to do? Unfortunately, students at school nowadays, they are no longer taught how to think. They are taught what to think. And the corridor of the permitted thought they can actually think about, it gets smaller and smaller every year. So they're completely gaslit with climate change and we're all going to die, and it's that kind of attitude that we now instill in the youngsters and our kids.
We've seen the Ottawa convoy, we've seen the Coutts blockade, we've seen small business owners standing up and pastors and leaders of congregations and average Canadians. And as a result, now we have many of those folks are being facing years and years in jail. So how do you feel about political prisoners in a country that's supposedly supposed to be free?
That's an oxymoron, actually. So there's nothing to say about that. But that just goes to show the hypocrisy we're actually living under now. So a free democracy, they don't have political prisoners. By no stretch of the imagination. And if they do, well, then they're not a democracy anymore. It's as simple as that. So you cannot have any second opinion as far as that's concerned. But that's what we're seeing in every single Western democracies around the world now. Yeah, in Germany, there are political prisoners. The protesters that took to the streets to protest against these restrictions, they were treated as political prisoners. They were even labeled as such. If there's any people on the entire planet that learned from history, you would think it was the Germans. Well, no, they didn't learn a damn thing. And the ones screaming loudest, "Never again," are exactly the ones who are marching in front of the parade and begging the government for even more restriction and for harder backlash and pushing down on people. That's a reality. It is. But in the last 3 years, there have been a lot of people that actually did wake up and that are beginning to see what is actually going down.
How has the reception been like in Canada for you so far?
Overwhelming. And I have to say, I never expected anything even close to what I've seen here and how I was received. And I just keep saying, you guys are awesome. The Canadians really are awesome, and the Canadian truckers in particular. They are the real heroes. So I'm really blessed to be here, and it humbles me that I get to meet all of these incredible people, because they really gave it all. They did whatever they had to do to stop this government. And to that, I will be eternally grateful that they did that.
It was very inspiring because there's so many people out there that feel like they're alone, thinking that nobody else is on the same page as them. So it's great when we have gatherings like this, because it brings everybody together with the same thought, with the same feeling. She was outstanding. She's encouraging. She's inspirational. I think the only thing that I feel is still lacking is this whole question of, what can we do? We know we have to do something, but what? Where do we go from here?
I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. I'm on the right side, and I feel proud of myself. I know that I have courage and strength and power to make a difference in the world. Right? We can do this. It's been done before.
The Commissioner Paul Rouleau for the Public Order Emergency Commission found the Prime Minister's action inflamed the Freedom Convoy demonstration in Ottawa, but invoking the Emergencies Act was justified nonetheless. How do you feel about this ruling?
Well, this is just the carte blanche they have been given now. So whenever citizens, take to the streets and oppose their government, criticize their government, now they found out all we have to do is, invoke an emergency act, and we can just slam it down. And something like that happening, you can be sure you no longer live in a democracy, because that's exactly what totalitarian regimes, dictatorships do. Anyone criticizing government, they're criminalized, they're incarcerated, they slam down on them hard to muffle these voices. But what is the freedom of speech and the right to assembly worth, if not to be used to criticize your government? That's how democracy works.
It was a nice opportunity to hear a European perspective, and also from the member of the EU from Romania, who sent a personal message by video. That was really nice.
Of how you and us as people should fight to defend our freedoms and liberties. Freedom truckers were an example to many other truckers in Europe who followed your examples.
It's showing the effect of people's ability to stand up and do the right thing is universal. We just have to bring them all together and keep the good fight, and pray for our elected officials to have a backbone, to understand what justice is, and not be so fearful.
It's above and beyond. It's from the heart, and true patriot love in all thy sons command. The remnant is rising, the people are uniting, and good things are coming, and there's humility here, and out of that comes fearlessness, because that's how God blesses humility. So all things are possible. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Thank you for all that the Rebel does for freedom and justice and truth. And we will get freedom of press back. That's part of the whole package.
What's your take on Justin Trudeau's efforts to regulate the internet in Canada?
Well, it's not only happening here in Canada. I mean, the EU is all over this. They came up with this Media Freedom Act. Notice the Orwellian euphemism here. It's censorship, point blank. And we see this, we don't want hate speech, we want disinformation. Well, who gets to define what is disinformation? And who gets to define what is actually hate speech? So me saying there is exact two sexes, men and women, that could never be hate speech. It is a biological fact, for God's sakes. And, up until a few years ago, that was recognized as just, being a biological scientific fact. Yeah, let's talk about, follow the science.
Actually, our mayor here in Calgary, Jyoti Gondek, she is working on creating a hate speech law. So if you say something that hurts somebody's feelings, you get a fine right away.
I know. I mean, look at the penal code in GDR. It was the same thing. critics were not allowed to speak up. I mean, they had in the Constitution the right to freedom of speech, but it was a farce because whenever you did criticize government, you know, it was like anti-communist, whatever. So yeah, they, you know, picked you up and they threw you in jail. It's as simple as that. And like I said, just because they claim, you know, to be of good nature and we don't want hate speech. Once again, who gets to define what is hate speech? And if the government gets to decide that, well, then there goes your freedom of speech.
She stood with us in Canada when we felt alone, in a time where we feel under tremendous tyranny from our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. That woman, that beautiful woman, is calling out Justin Trudeau's actions from across the world as a tyrannical leader and telling him to stay away. Like so many people here can testify that they were just in tears because someone else was standing up for us.
Well, Christine actually, and I think she did what the truckers did just from Europe, is she gave us hope because she was standing up. She was actually speaking what she believed, and she was making it clear that we needed rights. So to me, she was an encouragement just like the truckers were.
So your tour is called What Would Christine Anderson Do? So what would Christine do in a nation that is trying so hard to stay free?
Well, actually, you have been doing a pretty good job at that. So you certainly don't need me to tell you what to do, because it was the Freedom Truckers that, you know, that well, we're you know, fed up with this. We will not stand for this anymore. And you guys actually have done what you're supposed to do and what you were supposed to do. And I will be eternally grateful for having done that, and just keep it up and, you know, talk to the people. Like I said, you know, don't slam them with information. They may not be at that point yet and they may feel kind of overwhelmed with that information. You know, just ask questions and get them to a point where they will actually question what's going on and let them arrive at their own conclusion, because that is so much more effective than being told to what to think. So.
And do you have any wishes or plans to potentially meet with the Premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, during your time here?
I would love to. I would really love to meet her because she's quite something too. So yeah, I would definitely enjoy, you know, just meeting her, talking to her. She's really doing a good job.
You have to become so absolutely free that your very existence becomes an act of rebellion. And that's what I consider myself to be. I'm an act of rebellion, and I'm loving it. Thank you. Thank you.
Just this week, Paul Rouleau, the commissioner from the Public Order Emergency Commission, had ruled that Justin Trudeau's use of the Emergencies Act was justified. If you want to see more information on that and see the Rebel News documentary showcasing the entire fall of events, you can visit trudeauontrial.com.